Colby, 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 math.com.
Today we began looking at probability of independent events, and when you're calculating the probability of more than one thing occurring, you multiply those probabilities together, and that's why I decided to put these problems in the unit on fraction operations, because all probabilities are between 0 and 1, and so in most cases we're multiplying two proper fractions. So the probability of spinning this spinner and having the spinner land on a section that is not blue, and the probability of rolling this die and having it land on a 5 is equal to the probability that the spinner will not land on blue multiplied by the probability of rolling the die and having it land on 5. And you don't need to show that every time. I'm just showing it to you to remind you what we talked about in class today. Of course, this dice cube, the sample space for a normal dice cube is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 faces on the cube. They're numbered 1 through 6. The 1 is the bottom face, and that's why we can't see it right now. The 2 is opposite that 5 face, so it's in the back. And the 3 is opposite this 4 face, it's in the back where we can't view it. But just know that you could roll any one of those numbers. 1 through 6 are equally likely. When we consider the spinner, we have 4 equally likely places for the spinner to land, and 1, 2, 3 of those 4 possible outcomes are favorable outcomes because 3 of those spaces are not blue. It doesn't matter that 2 of them are red. It just matters that we have 3 of 4 equally likely spaces that are not blue. So the probability of not spinning blue is 3/4. The probability of rolling a 5, there's 1 favorable outcome because only 1 face has 5 on it, and 6 possible outcomes. So that probability is 1/6. We can simplify before we multiply. We can make this a 1 and this a 2, dividing both this numerator and this denominator by the common factor 3. And then we get 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 2 is 8. And so the solution to this probability is 1/8. When you look down at the bottom, you'll see that there are 2 spaces that say 1/8. The directions tell you just to cross off one of them. It doesn't matter which one. You just lightly cross it out. Don't do something like this. Don't cross it out like this so that you can't see it anymore. Because then if something went wrong and you made a mistake, you wouldn't be able to see what was there in the first place. Just lightly cross it out the way I've showed you here. After you've done all of the problems and crossed out all of the hopefully correct answers, the remaining letters as you read from left to right and top to bottom will fill in these spaces to give you the answer to the riddle. The other problem I'd like to do with you is this word problem, problem 25. A test has 2 multiple choice questions, each with 5 choices, like A, B, C, D, E. What is the probability of guessing the correct answer to both questions? And the probability of guessing the correct answer to both questions will be the probability of guessing correct on each one and then multiplying those probabilities together like we did on the previous problem. So try this one during the pause and then come back and see how you did.
Paused.
The probability of guessing correctly, if there are 5 answer choices and it's just a complete guess, would be 1/5 because there's 1 favorable outcome and 5 possible outcomes. The probability of guessing correct on the second question will also be 1/5 because they're independent events. Whether or not you guessed correctly on the first question has no impact on whether or not you guessed correctly on the second question. And then when you multiply those 2 probabilities together, you get the probability of guessing correctly twice in a row, which is 1/25, or 4%. If we look for that down below, we see it, so that gives me some confidence that I probably did that correctly. Thank you for watching the video. I'll see you tomorrow.